right, so after our last couple videos of talking about sports in America, basketball in America in particular, this one actually popped up. No one sent this through to me. I thought it would be interesting to see. It's Gilbert Arenas. He actually talks about this, titled Gilbert Arenas' Plan to Fix Youth Basketball in America. So thought it would be interesting. Let's just get into it and see what they say.
Sports in America is ran by money, right? It's money that is running AAU. Money, teams after teams. Like it's a money grab, right? If it wasn't for this money grab, he wouldn't even have a job.
Hey.
Because there wouldn't be him. There's no college. Overseas don't have college, right? It's pro, right? So there's no high school. You come into a club league, which is a pro league. So he wouldn't even be talking because
I'm not sure who they're talking about.
He will have to try to find out how to get a club team or be a pro team. And that's really the problem with sports in America. It's money driven, so everybody's trying to figure out how to get as much money out of the kids, out of their talent, at every stage. Middle school, high school, college.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what the actual problem is. The factor of hours, right? That's on you, coach. AAU, you can, why can't you coach your players for 12 hours a day, 6 hours a day? Because if you're charging, who do they charge? For $100 a month, $200 a month?
For AAU?
Yeah.
I feel like that bread is, shit, they charging $20 to park at these joints. Like,
I mean, I'm not even talking about the tournament.
I'm just saying.
I'm talking about just just for that program.
Yeah.
Right? You're for paying $200 for the month.
Like 600, it's like
600 for the month. Damn. 600 for the month, right?
That's a lot.
For the one player. Why would I want to practice you 6-7 hours when I can just do the 1 hour with you twice a week, once a week, right? And get the same $600.
So a couple things here. So he does talk about just money in general. Completely right. I'm trying to work on a couple videos that talk about this, but NIL obviously in college, but you know, it's one of the things I really talk about with skills trainers. Like I saw a skills trainer the other day post, you can be greater than the player. I just think like the culture that we have in America is so bad. It literally is all about how much money you can get, how much you can take out of the game rather than what you can put in. I do understand, like I'm all for capitalism. I like capitalism. I participate in capitalism. I think it's probably the greatest way to build your society, but there's always something that happens with capitalism, and it's like, once you get to late stage capitalism, things start getting a little weird, which is kind of where we're at. Upward mobility, being able to make money, being able to do a job and make money, profit from it. Like, yeah, that should be a goal. That should be one goal that people have. Also, we should have other goals, ideally. But if your main and only goal is making money, it makes you start to exactly what Gilbert's talking about. Like, if it's about making money, it doesn't make sense practicing 7 times a week when you make the same amount of money if you're going to practice twice a week. So the incentive is to practice less so that you get more money for your time. It's the exact same with trainers. Like one of the biggest issues I see is trainers will tell you whatever they have to tell you to get you to keep paying money. They're not going to tell you what you need to hear. I think that's the hardest. That's kind of why I think the training industry as a whole is it's a big scam. I don't see the need for trainers with the amount that there are out there. It's like 10% of what a player needs. You should not be spending hundreds, thousands of dollars on individual training or individual skills programs. It's just, our society, the focus that we've put on making money has completely changed our view. It's completely changed the whole focus on what it should be. Had that conversation with Coach Charlie from Attack B-Ball the other day, and one of the empowering things he said was exactly that: player empowerment. Got to give the game back to the players. And I think once we start doing that, I think instantly we'll see improvements and success.
Right? Like it's the job. It's the hours versus the income. Right? If you really are dedicated about this shit, right? No matter what the number is, you're going to dedicate it to your program where I'm going to be training these kids 6-7 hours a day after school, because obviously we have school.
Yeah. But that's the scholastic part of it, though, and that's what he's basically saying. Like, you go to academy or you do some of the club stuff overseas, your school is basketball.
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. So what you're saying, you're literally saying, like, If I stayed out of state or out of the city from where my team is, my AAU team, I'm not going to be able to have access to that 6-hour practice. You know what I'm saying? I can only come when I can come, right? So what I believe he's saying is when you talk about the access to the coaching year round, all 12 months, it's better than just the AAU allowing the kids to just do whatever uncoached and really just do what you want. That's showing the discipline from the players, between the European players and the American players, because it's individualized now. If you're in a college and you're chasing money through NIL, you're not thinking about the team and the access of how the coach coaches. You're thinking about how I'm gonna get my bread. Do I have enough skill to showcase my talent to get the bread? Now he's looking like, all right, overseas, they all thinking about team. It's all team.
Yeah,
they're all
I mean,
about trying to make the pro team.
To an extent, yeah.
But you got to fit in to the team aspect.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They're thinking about making the professional team first. Here, I feel like it's about how much money can I make first before we think about career, all the other things.
Overseas, that's why they practice so long, and they don't play pickup without another coach being there to be like, hey.
So who's okay? So
I mean, they play
how's that
pickup.
the player's problem. That's the coach's problem.
Over here is the player's problem because we don't have the coaches that are dominating.
No, we don't have the coaches that's like, if I'm paying you $600, period, right? You have two choices.
This isn't what Rashad's talking about. He's going to talk about the thing that we've already addressed. This is
You can train me for an hour.
train for extra hours or train
Twice a week, or you can train me for 5 hours, 7 days a week. Which one are you going to do for the 600?
So this isn't what he's talking about, but the problem is Rashad's kind of right. He says we don't have the coaches that are going to push the players too hard. We do have those coaches. It's actually, our system is just not set up for that. They've already addressed it. That's kind of why I don't like Gils Arena. They circle around points and speak past each other a lot, but they've already spoken about it. Is high school coaches only have access to their kids for a certain time of the year. In that time, so let's say May here where I'm at, high school coaches can't coach their kids. So in that month of May, the kids are wanting to go somewhere. They're wanting to still train. They go to people that are individual skills trainers. They go to these academies. They go to these other places to get their training. But none of those skills coaches, none of those training programs have contacted any of us to ask what these players need to work on, what type of offense we run. They just do whatever they just tell the player whatever they need to hear. Put them through drills that are flashy and look fun for the parents so they can make their money. Because again, it's all about how much money you can make. It's not about making this player good enough to where they don't need to come back to you every day. What a skills trainer, ideally what they do is they teach you something, they show you something, they give you a program, they give you an understanding to where you can then go apply that on your own. If you're having to go to a skills trainer every week or every day or all the time, then it's not working. They're bleeding you of your money. They should be teaching you things. You go and apply that. You come back when you need to learn new things, but you shouldn't be learning new things every week, every day. You should be mastering something. Let's say you're working on footwork, attacking the basket. They should show you, teach you some drills and build a workout for you that's gonna address that. But you've got to go work on that every single day. It's not up to the skills trainers to train you every single day for that, and you pay them every single day for that. It's just not how it works.
Well, this is not.
So I tried to look up who they were originally talking about in this clip, and I couldn't find it. But
Not even talk about AAU, talk about college. If the coaches are only allowed to practice you 3 hours because of the restrictions, overseas, I don't have to go to college, they got us 12 hours. Instead of those 3, they got 12. Just by rules and regulations on what we do as American players. So they got an
I guess
advantage
technically
because
they've got you 12 hours.
all day coaching when we only got 3 hours just by rules.
Well, the rules, see, then they need someone that's smart enough to understand what rules are and know how to bend them. Yeah, I have 3 hours as a team.
this is the problem. Thinking like Gil does is exactly what happens. It becomes kind of the Wild West. People are smart enough to bend the rules or think past the rules. Like you don't want to set up a system where the people that succeed are the ones that find their ways around the rules, because then you just incentivize that, and that's precisely what AAU has become. It used to actually be elite basketball. It used to be for players that were elite in their state. Maybe you only had one or two teams that you could possibly make, and if you made that team, you were elite, and you got that extra travel, got to test yourself against the best competition in the nation. But now there's so much travel ball that every single player has access to it as long as they're willing to pay. The coaches that are going to also start bending the rules are also going to start leading these kids down the wrong paths, because they're going to say, you need to come to my program because we do blah, 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 whatever. They're going to charge more money. The kids are going to get less out of it. That's what we're seeing. That's exactly what's happening. So yes, if you want to win, like cheat, like if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, but you don't want to build a system where cheating is incentivized, because then leads us to where we're at.
Team. There's no rule on individuals. So I can train.
There is.
After the 3 hours is up, I can train you and you together for another hour.
You
train
can't.
These two.
And this is the problem. You can't. I can't train. I don't have access to my players. So if I'm coaching at a high school, I don't have access to my players, not in a team setting, not in an individual setting. I can't coach them. I cannot coach them for a specific time period. And when that time period is up, it's generally filled with games. It's generally filled with it's filled with other stuff. So you don't have, for example, right now we have one practice. We have 1 2-hour practice before we play our first summer league game as a team. Meanwhile, we've had a whole month where we couldn't even train or have access to our kids. Like that's the issue we're seeing. But our kids are going to a lot of skills trainers, individuals trainers. I'm allowed to, I have individually trained kids, different kids from different coaches from different schools, though. Not allowed access to hours. That's the problem.
For another hour. Train these two for another hour. I can train my same team individually, 2, 3 at a time, as long as it's not a team.
No, not the case. And again, the rules change all the time. So he might be talking about when he was coaching in high school or around high school, but also every state's a little bit different. So.
And it's like 4 players at a time.
Yes.
It can't be more than 4 players.
Yeah, there's a like if you are wanting to be a coach and you really about that shit, then stop using that excuse, because they're not using it. Kobe Bryant, right? His Mamba team, they trained 7 days a week.
Again, this is a lot of the issue I have. A lot of the people that have the knowledge and the experience in the basketball world, they don't keep up with it, and they're not pedantic about understanding the rules and regulations and really researching. They talk more from like vibes based. Kobe was coaching an AAU team. He wasn't coaching a high school team. The conversation we're having right now is the relationship between high school and club teams. Kobe Bryant could coach and train as much as he wanted. There's way less restrictions and rules on club teams, but also if you have access to private facilities, if you have access like away from the prying eye, out of a local area, maybe you can train as much as you want. Like country teams that are way out in the middle of nowhere, they practice and train all the time because there's no one there to kind of snitch on you or talk about what you're doing. If you're in a densely populated area, and you're a well-known coach, or you're a well-known program, like people will turn you in all the time. So yeah, Kobe has access to do all the extra training or anything he wants and needs, and all the connections. And he also has people to hire to make sure he's not breaking specific rules, or he is doing things by the book.
For 3 hours, every single day. If you miss one practice, you're not starting. It wasn't, obviously, it's not about money for him. It's about training. Right? It's not about money. It's training. I'm trying to get these girls better. Right? We are handicapped because, one, we're privileged here, so we're not that good. Right? We're not that good. So we have to really build our talent up. So he made the girls practice every single day, 3 to 4 hours a day. Now, if you're a program out here, there's some programs that they don't even practice. I just call you on game day. Right? That's our problem.
Yeah, but there's also programs that practice way too much.
That's what I'm saying, because if Kobe's the coach, right, and he's the leading trainer of the program, then there's no drop-off. So what we've done in America is we've put all the onus on the trainers and then you get the player, the coach gets the player after the trainer, and we're expecting this player to be coachable.
So we just talked about.
He don't know what I want. He don't know we don't know nothing. That's what he's saying. He's like, I only get him for what do you say, 5 months? So it's like out of those 5 months.
I didn't know his job stops after 5 months.
Right. So what do y'all think is?
Huh?
So what do y'all think is hurting basketball? Is it high school? Is it college?
It's a combination of all
What
of
do you
it.
think is hurting us in America? Because whatever's hurting us, I think we should just take it out then.
Again, this is why Gils Arena needs. I wish Josiah would write down points and he does a pretty good job. This is an interesting, entertaining show, but for fact checking, for keeping them on point, not so great. Josiah could do, like, Gil already made his argument. He said money is ruining basketball in America. Now Brandon Jennings says, so what do you think is ruining basketball? And Gil's like, he's got to try to think of something else. He's really good at thinking on his feet, but sometimes, like, you've already got the answer. Just stay on point, I think, because once we can start identifying the main causes, the main issues, then we can really start coming up with some solutions.
I mean, okay.
Scholastics.
Or address it.
No, I think take it out. If college basketball is hurting, then take it out. I think school should just be for school, and we should start basketball academies out here.
I agree with this.
Yeah.
I don't know how we get there. I agree with
Let's
that.
just do that. So you ain't got to play for your high school coach.
But that's what I'm saying. America's ran about money, so it's trying to figure out how we can get the most money out of everybody, right? If we take out school, for the athlete, think about how much money
They're losing.
everyone's losing.
Yeah, school.
Oh, I mean, everybody don't do sports.
Enrollment.
Yeah,
Everybody can't play basketball. I mean, that stuff overseas, you got to be good.
I mean,
Ricky Rubio was.
So this is good. Like, yeah, let's stay on the money point. Let's talk through it. And by the end of this, have a better understanding. He's exactly right. I don't think you lose more money by taking the schooling away from the sport. Not everyone plays sports, but also not everyone would be allowed to go to those academies. We're talking, let's say there's an academy in California, Southern California, where there's probably hundreds of schools. It's not that all 100 of those schools, basketball teams, would go to an academy. It's that everyone that wants to play basketball in that area would go to that academy. So I'll explain the difference. So you're not sending 10 players from each school to that academy to play. You're sending 10 players effectively from each school to try out. Now, once they get there, there might be 5 or 6 or 7 teams, depending on how big that area is. Let's say there's 6 teams. That means 40 kids that were playing basketball in that area are getting cut. It's going to be the 40 kids that probably were the lower ranked kids on their high school team. You can still have school ball, especially for like intramural style, like what they have in college. So kids that don't make the academy teams, they can still play once a day or something at the end of school, or they can have just tournaments a couple times a year, but they don't need 2-3 hours of practice every single day. But those kids that go to the academies, that's their full-time thing now. They should still get some schooling. They should still get the bare minimums because you still want them to be successful, go to college, all that stuff. But yeah, that's exactly what we see in Europe. That's exactly what you see in some other places where they're starting to develop these elite basketball players. And yeah, that's probably the best way to do it.
Now think about it. When you go to the clubs, right? Think about clubs, right?
Yeah.
The celebrities, the people with the money, don't pay.
Right.
It's everybody else.
Right.
AAU basketball, the elite,
The good kids don't.
they paid you. So for me to pay you, who I got to get the money from?
Them.
Yeah, I hate this system. I hate
So I
it.
got to create a bronze team, a silver team. So I got to create all these sorry ass groups of kids and parents to make up for money. So the money is not from the elite. So like over there, their elite team, they not paying. It's the other 100 that just want to be a part of a program.
Yeah.
Right. That's where they're getting their money from. You take that out.
Yeah.
That's the question.
Question for all three of y'all. When you look,
He kind
around
of
and talk about
convoluted over there, like trickling up. The money should trickle to the top team, and over here of each athlete. He kind of conflated that, but it's different things.
up in the club aspect, should NBA teams have their own youth development program? Should it be kind of like the club model overseas, where like, look, the Lakers, we identified the best kids in this area, and now we.
I've thought about this a little bit. I think it'd be a cool idea, but it might have to be something like LA has like a big area of teams that a bunch of different smaller clubs that are supplements or insubordinate, whatever you would call it. They're kind of they all link to the Lakers organization. You'd have the same thing in Golden State, have the same thing in Sacramento, but to where it covers such a large area that kids or people that go to school or live in certain school districts, you would just go to that club, if that made sense.
We have our own squad that we're training and building to become pros.
Nah, that's since shoe programs want to be so involved, and I've talked with Adidas with this, right? Where y'all should mimic overseas and have your own academies.
Yeah.
Where you identify what top tier talent looks like at an early age, the potential, and you guys are inviting them.
Okay.
Like they get an invite for your
I was
facility.
hoping you'd address the thing.
There's no politics involved, no names, no money. You can't.
Sorry, just thinking through. I kind of get it because they do have academies like this where, let's say you live in Texas. It's basically, it'd be replacing what prep schools try to be. So instead of a prep school, you'd go to these MBA academies. Again, I know they did this in Australia at the Center of Excellence, but it's an invite only. And yeah, your full-time schooling and everything is centered around basketball. So let's say you live in Texas and the New York juniors, let's call them the New York juniors, think you're good enough and they want to start developing you from the age of 14, and they think you can eventually become a New York Knick. They invite you to their academy in New York. Your parents look at it and they're like, okay, well, you can go live up there and train with them and do whatever. And it's kind of like a scholarship. So you'd get a scholarship to go play there. I don't mind it. I think this is I don't think this contradicts what we were talking about with the pro teams having their own
academies. Buy your way
academies.
into none of this shit.
It's earned.
Right? It's your talent.
That's cool.
Right? So if I have the facility that's just IMG, right?
Yep.
And I'm Nike, I'm Adidas. I can pick the players I want. You get invited here. You get free board, free education, free everything.
Yep.
And I'm training you to be. So now I already have the pipeline. These are my Adidas kids. So when they make it, this is same thing with Nike, same with Under Armour, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to.
I don't think the shoe
identify
companies.
with the talent first.
Yep.
I don't think that's a good idea.
If you want the change, right? It's not. I can't. My kid, he has to be able to make that team.
Yeah.
Right. Y'all have the tryouts. He makes it, but for you to get in the tryouts, you have to be invited. So it's a privilege.
Yes.
It's a privilege.
Just like Nike can.
Yeah, it's a
The
privilege.
shoe companies should be involved by sponsoring the schools maybe, or sponsoring players individually, like NIL, I suppose it is. But I don't think the shoe companies running the academies is a good idea because, again, once you get money too involved or too attached to it, they're going to be expecting, if you're a 14-year-old and you've made this decision to go to this academy, now you got to wear Nike the rest of your life, like that sort of stuff, long-term contracts and all that. Don't really like it for youth.
It's not low. Yeah, your daddy played for Adidas, so you
We don't care.
and you averaging 5 points. No, none of that shit works. Your name, this ain't no name thing.
Yeah.
And I've talked to my Adidas rep and said, that's the evolution.
Yes.
The evolution is when you shoe companies need to start creating your own hub and your own system where the Scoot Hendersons and all of those, you can identify with
not
them.
the shoe companies.
And you're pulling them in. You have those kids from 11, 12, 15, whatever. You have them. And
Then
you're
you just
really, you're
just
giving
quickly, you exacerbate the problem when you put, we're saying money is the problem, and he's like, you need these massive multi-billion-dollar companies to get more involved. That's I don't think that's the solution.
You're giving them all that. So money, like now it makes a parent really want to. Like high school, I really want my kid to be there for the free education. It takes a lot of pressure off of me.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, and parent
I'm
go
not paying-
home. And the
I'm
parent
not-
go home.
It takes, yeah,
Damn,
and it
go
takes
home.
away the paying. I ain't
Go
paying
home.
you. What I need to pay you for when I'm giving you something. You want your son to be put in this fast track machine? I'll say, now you saving money on your bills. He's being fed and treated, and he's becoming a pro. Now, I don't need to pay your bills and do all that. None of
He's just replacing colleges with shoe companies, and it's the same outcome will happen. He had the right idea with calling them academies. You don't have to understand the financial incentive part yet. Let's just stick with that idea, because I think pumping more money and more money incentives into it right now he's saying, yeah, the kid will go. Gilbert's saying, yeah, we'll take the kid, we'll feed him, we'll take care of him. That's what colleges did. And then that kid would get an offer from somewhere else. Like nowadays, a kid will just get another offer and they're like, well, we'll do the same thing, but we'll also pay him $5 million. That's what NIL's become. And that's exactly what would happen here. Nike would just offer an Adidas kid more money to go there. So that doesn't fix the problems. Again, I feel like these conversations, I wish they were having these conversations off screen a lot so they could test their ideas and then come back to them on screen. Not saying practice for this segment, but you can kind of tell like when people have had these conversations and they have really good ideas. Or what Gils Arena does a lot, and I still think it's super important, is they're really good at bringing up questions. They're really good at asking questions. They're really good at bringing up scenarios. They're not great on identifying good actionable solutions, but they do ask a lot of really good questions.
It takes all that money and paying the NIL, fuck all that.
Yeah, no,
right?
No. If you care about the kid.
Yeah, but what happens if that kid doesn't pan out?
They just don't pan out.
He got a free high school education.
I talk about this in my book. The same exact model he talking about right now. Sports education programs outside of the colleges. But the one thing that I did touch on was the sponsors. Who the sponsors would be. So imagine Adidas being the main sponsor of a sports education program that literally
ideally you don't have a main multi-billion-dollar corporation
OTE
running
without a sponsor. That's all it is. Now you put Nike or Under Armour. Now what happens is you bringing in your product. This is your product. This Wemby is attached to Adidas. He comes into the NBA as the #1 pick. They picked him from your batch. Like, oh, we got Adidas guys. Look at these Adidas guys.
Listen to how he's talking about Wemby at the moment. This is your product. This is your batch. These are talking about players as items. This is what we talk about in late stage capitalism. Every person becomes a unit of measurement. Every person becomes a dollar sign. Like that's what we're trying to avoid. Rashad McCants is like, let's go faster to that. So they're saying it's a problem, but then they're also leading us right back to that problem. So, yeah, interesting questions, but terrible solutions.
Nike.
But it's over time, more structure and more discipline in the talent you choose.
Yeah.
Because all the kids at overtime are not NBA players. They're not even prospects.
Okay.
Right, for the most part. Some of those guys, you're like, oh, why is this guy? Like you know, I know they're just trying to start their league up. So they're trying to pull as many kids that want to come there, but for the most part, as a parent, you bringing me your kid, fuck off. I'll come to you.
Yeah, because we need your kid.
You can't bring me your kid. That's not how this works.
And
but then you don't get enough kids.
You can't bring me your kid. I'll give you like USA basketball, I'll give you an invite, and then y'all come, and we're going to try out, and we're going to see what's discipline. That's how this works. That's
how it should work.
You drop your kid off, and how much money I get.
The babysitting shit. But they got education programs at OTE too. They don't talk about that.
No,
they cover the whole basis.
No, they do everything. They just don't have a selective program where they're selecting.
Right.
Should it be more geared when you talk about these type of programs? I think that's the issue with college, right? You take a bunch of general education classes and shit that's not going to really benefit you long term, where people don't have financial literacy classes and that type of stuff. They don't know how to balance a checkbook or account for their bread or do all the simple shit that these high-level professional athletes really need to learn. Like, you're not going to learn shit in an earth space science class or whatever it is on college campus. Versus now, if you can go to a situation like this and get that side of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're training them to be professionals early, right?
And I think that, again, Josiah did a good job bringing them back on point, but not holding them to their older points. This is what it's about. You should be training the kids to be professionals in the avenue that in the lane that they're going to exceed in. So again, going to high school, going to college and taking all these math classes, random math classes, and that not really apply. Maybe you get your teaching degree. People always say, get your degree to fall back on. Let's say you get your teaching degree and then you go play professional basketball or try to play professional basketball and fail. Let's say you don't make it. Most people aren't falling back on their teaching degree. Most of them are going back to college and figuring out another thing, or they're becoming sports consultation people. They're doing something around sports. So still that sports experience is the main thing that's going to get you a job. So if you can go to a sports academy, which is going to teach financial literacy in sports, how to video editing, videography, all these sort of things for recording content, like all these things around sports media, like being in the media, interviewing, reporting, sports communication, all this stuff is really important. But at college, like, you're not necessarily being built for that. You're being built to be a teacher, engineer, just depending on the college that you go to. So I think a sports academy is such a great way to do it. It's a little bit weird to think of here in America, though, because we don't typically look at paying people or rewarding people for sports outside of schooling.
A professional ain't being trained to be a professional until he's a professional now. Right? I don't know nothing. I mean, come on, think about it. You know, you go into the NBA. What do you know about the NBA? What do you know about money? What do you know about anything? Nothing. You're learning it as you go.
Yeah.
Right? The only people who have an advantage in the NBA is usually white players and kids of NBA players.
Yep. But think about
right?
it.
You know,
white
Steph will
players?
have an advantage. Steph, Clay, they will have an advantage over the norm because their parents already been through it. They've already grew up in that type of environment.
And we spoke about this the other day.
They don't really want for nothing but their greatness.
Think about, you got medical school, law school, business school.
That's what we just talked about.
A school of sports. We don't got a school where the athletes go when they don't go to their goal, they don't finish that ultra light that they wanted to go for, and then they have something to fall back on. Like the post-grad school, this is what I created in my book that I'll talk about, is when you finish school, where's your plan A, plan B, plan C? But that's us trying to be analysts, broadcasters, sports medicine, all the personal trainers, all those things.
This is the most I've agreed
hub.
with McCants.
So we don't leave the hub to try to go be something other than what we came to school for. We came to school for hoop. So where is the school of hoop? We need to create the school for hoop. And if we don't create it within our own hubs, facilities like Adidas or OTE, where...
Yeah, this is the most I've agreed with Rashad. His overall vision about how to get there, I definitely don't agree. The solution to it all with just like more money, pump in more money, turn the kids into products, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think this was a pretty interesting one. I stopped watching a lot of Gils Arena just because it became more entertainment, but they still have really good conversations. They still bring up really important questions that I think are important in the basketball community that we really do need to have conversations on, and having ex-professional basketball players speak on those things, I think it gives a different perspective, and yeah, it gives us more insight. So yeah, this was a good video. Again, I just saw this pop up, but hope you guys enjoy. Again, trying to get out a video every single day. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.